All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to EMPM. That stands for Engineering Major Philosophy Minor, and this is the channel where you can get a working aerospace engineer's opinions on topics pertaining to engineering, philosophy, politics, and various other social and cultural issues. So in this video, I have a little bit of a speech that I wrote, which I wanted to read to you guys. And it has to do with the vaccine mandates. Now, if you read the title of the video is called, it's going to be called something along the lines of, a vaccinated person stands up for the unvaccinated people. As you guys know, it's been going around everywhere. There have been these vaccine mandates on federal contractors. And the unfortunate thing is that this affects a lot of the aerospace and defense engineers that I work with currently and also who I've worked with in the past. These people are my friends, and I just need to say something about this because these people have a lot to lose. This is, in the words of one of my coworkers, this is a really big stick. And I'm going to be making other videos about basically why this stick is so large and how it's getting used against good, talented people. So let me go ahead and get into this thing that I wrote. Recently, I've been talking to a number of people in my industry, the aerospace and defense industry, currently at risk for losing their careers over the coercive vaccine mandate for federal contractors. Who are these people? They are my coworkers, friends, and the great people who welcomed me with open arms to the conservative state of Utah, despite knowing that I came from California. Let me give you a couple examples of who these people are. A young man in his mid-20s, recently married, eager and ready to progress in his career as a mechanical engineer. With optimism, he searches for a home with his wife where he hopes to raise 2 children. Another person, a brilliant older engineer with 30 years of experience with the company, wife, kids, grandkids. He leads us through the shop floor for show and tell, happy to pass on what knowledge he can before potential termination. Another man, my age, tall as hell, but a gentle giant. No wife, no kids, alone, and recently suffering a major loss in his family, only to be welcomed back from bereavement by a threat of termination, losing his job. How about a first-time mother who married another fellow engineer? Their hard work has earned them a beautiful craftsman home in which to raise their firstborn. These people have a few things in common. They are engineers, they are unvaccinated, but most of all, they are normal, hardworking, intelligent, competent, patriotic, dedicated individuals now at risk for losing their entire careers and livelihoods due to the tyrannical edicts from Joe Biden, reinforced by the fear-fueled complacency of the progressive mob and cowardly executives. When I moved from California to Utah, I knew I would find kindred spirits, but what I found was so much better. Strong men, graceful women, and hopeful children. Wonderful people who are willing to participate, to listen, to ask questions, to stand, and to live not in fear from their fellow countrymen or the risks of everyday life. Last night and this morning, I was recording a couple videos discussing the vaccine mandates, but as I was doing the editing, I realized there was a big problem with them. I was speaking from a perspective that I was under equal duress as the types of people mentioned above, and this gave me pause. I realized that I have an out. For their sake, and to maintain ethical consistency in my videos, I need to announce that I am vaccinated. I did not get vaccinated as a result of these mandates, in fact, much before. If you're watching the video, here's my vaccine card. I could simply enter this information into a corporate system, send in a digital copy of this card, and avoid the culling. Why the hesitation? What's the big deal, right? That's what we always hear. What's the big deal? Let me ask you, the audience, what you think corporations will do with that information. Pause your video if you want to think about it. In all likelihood, a company's finance team in league with their legal team are working very diligently around the clock on a special cost-benefit analysis. On one side of the scale is federal penalties for violation, and the other side of the scale is the cost of rehiring, retraining, and re-clearing. What I mean by clearing is obtaining security clearances, the estimated number of people they will lose. That said, if you are vaccinated like me and you report your status, which way do you think it tips the scale? If you answered that it will lighten the side of losing people, thus making the cost of federal fines be less attractive than retaining talent, you would be onto something. This sounds like the scene from Fight Club where Edward Norton is explaining what he does for a living to a random person on his flight. But I'm not convinced that type of analysis is pure fiction. It certainly makes sense from a business point of view. In fact, I would likely do the calculation if I ran a large corporation which was dependent on federal grant. I am not eager to report my vaccination status because I know it will be used as a weapon against people who have shown me nothing but kindness and warmth. I am vaccinated, but I stand with the unvaccinated, and I stand for the true basic human rights afforded to us by our Creator, which should be reinforced by our government, not curtailed. The right to life, including individual autonomy with respect to personal health decisions. The right to liberty, including alienation of one's labor to provide goods and services to the nation via participation in the free market. The right to pursue happiness as the joy that comes to a father who toiled the earth to put food on his family's table. But how about the right to a fair trial? Think about what this vaccine mandate means for the fundamental tenets of justice for you and your fellow man. You will either be coerced to undergo a medical procedure, coerced to confess your medical history, or face termination. Tell me, what is the crime that warrants this punishment? Is the crime that my fellow engineers are, quote, super spreading, far right, science denying, grandma killing bigots? No. There is no crime, and that's the point. It is simply verdict and sentence in the court of public opinion without evidence. Guilty until proven innocent. But does it matter if you're proven innocent after being declared guilty? Guilty people get punished. The truth is that my colleagues are all intelligent, devoted, educated, hardworking, family-oriented, freedom-loving, competent engineers whose passion is to work on cool stuff that defends and strengthens the United States of America. Yet, to many around this nation in fear, and especially to those with power in Washington, you and I are not just a simple annoyance to be tolerated begrudgingly. To them, we are enemies. In their eye, we embody a villain, a manifestation of Satan imagined by their longing for spirituality and religion despite their secularism. Public health and safety is their God, and they are the messianic sons. They want to save all of us, basically, from ourselves, apparently. We, conservatives, do not believe the same about them as they of us. But hear this. When you are the mob's villain, the doer of harm, the threat to health, there is absolutely nothing that they won't be able to justify doing to you. And they will happily create a feedback loop of power between them and the government to accomplish this. It will not be enough to control what you say, who you can talk to, which businesses are essential, what services you can use, how you make money, when you can make money, how much money you make, what energy you use to heat your home, what food you can eat, which holidays you celebrate, what you wear on your face, what vision of the country gets taught to your children, what health care you do and do not receive, and last but not least, who is restricted from work. But do you want to know the worst part? We enforce this on each other. We enforce it when corporate executives recklessly carry out the whim of government. We enforce it when each of us complies and tips the scale. We enforce it when we are the ones who draft up the terms and conditions of company separation. We enforce it when we ask for someone's papers. We enforce it when we provide approvals. We enforce it when we look good people in the eye, take their badge, and walk them out for the last day of a life they built over many years. It is my firm belief that no form of punishment is justified or warranted in the matters of an individual's prudential, rationalized, and sovereign judgment regarding vaccination for COVID-19. I will close with the following. This vaccine mandate is coercive, nefarious, morally bankrupt, and unconstitutional. I believe it to be a flagrant posture against freedom in the American way. To exclude qualified, willing, and competent laborers from the workplace at a time where economic recovery and national defense are desperately needed is a radical dereliction of executive responsibility. Furthermore, and perhaps most important, I refuse to look on my fellow countrymen as filthy or unclean for making their own prudential decisions on this matter and committing no ill-willed action against me or anyone else for that matter. Myself and my friends want to work. We want to contribute our technical capabilities, advance our nation's military might, optimize equipment used by our brave men and women in service, and want to be treated equally under rightfully established laws within the purview of the Constitution of the United States of America. I just read a headline yesterday claiming that the FDA has approved the Moderna booster shot program. Very likely, this means that further restrictions and tyrannical executive order will cause millions more to lose their short-lived eligibility to simply participate in polite society. I will continue to speak, and I hope that others who are vaccinated realize that a course correction can only be accomplished when we defend the freedom of each and every citizen, including those, maybe even especially those, who have opted out of receiving this vaccine.